Good morning. It is 11:10 a.m. on Saturday, June 16th, 2018. I'm Christiana Ellison. I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. Slept in because I needed it. I went to see The Incredibles 2 after work yesterday, and it's pretty good. Um, Let me put some context so that it's clear when I make any criticisms to Incredibles 2, it is only in a comparative sense because I hold the first movie as this like a pinnacle, like one of my favorite movies ever. And I think that one of the things that I love most about it is that it's just perfect and crystalline, and everything in it works, and everything contributes to the same overall theme while showing many different reflections and explorations of it. And it's incredible. I think the first one is more or less perfect, in my opinion, and I love it dearly. So, when I say that the second one is a little bit muddled, for example, its theme's not quite as clear, that it's a little bit busy, I want that put in the context of comparing it to the first one. Um, I don't think it's as perfect as the first one. However, that is such a high bar that I just want to really be clear that I'm not damning this movie with faint praise. If you love the first Incredibles, you should see this one. But I would say it's not as good, but it's still very good, is my opinion. It has a lot of stuff that I really loved. It gives a lot more action time to Mrs. Incredible, aka Elastigirl, which is great. A lot of really great action sequences with her. Um, there's some really fun exploration of Mr. Incredible trying to be, a stay at home dad with some unique complications. And I love that about it. And I love that they delve into some realistic emotional responses to some of that situation. Um, and I think that the movie does a lot of things really well. Um, I will say that uh, a twist that I saw as entirely predictable turned out to not be entirely predictable because it played out differently than I thought. So I guess what I just mean is that a lot of people, if you're like me, you will probably see at least an aspect of the twist coming from like frame one, but at the same time, the it actually plays out a little differently than I expected. Um, Yeah, so I think the villain's motivations were not as clear and not as tied to the personal struggles. See, like one of the amazing things about the first one is how personal the connection, the villain's connection to Mr. Incredible, his whole deal and what he represents is a perfect reflection of some of the same overall themes that the family, has been struggling with otherwise. This one has just got so much going on, a lot of new characters that, I love what's happening at any moment, but overall it feels a little bit messy compared to the first one. But it's definitely worth seeing. It's a worthy follow up. I definitely think that if you are excited to see it, you should see it on the big screen. Although, just with one caveat, is that I've seen on Twitter people saying that it's not epilepsy safe. I can't vouch for that personally because I don't know enough about the details of what makes a movie epilepsy safe or not. It definitely has strobing in it, but I don't know if it has to be a certain frequency or whatever. Point is, I saw people on Twitter saying it's not epilepsy safe, so it'd probably be a good idea if that's a concern for you to research it before going. Just as a caveat, like I mean, I didn't have any problem, but I don't have epilepsy, so um, So that's just a thought, for anyone for whom that is a risk. Maybe seeing this one in the theater should wait. But the otherwise, I love it. I'm glad there's more Incredibles. Um, and it would have been a pretty freaking high expectation to expect it to be as good as one of my favorite movies of all time. And so I would say Incredibles 2 is not one of my favorite movies of all time, but I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I'm definitely glad I went to see it, and I'm glad that it exists. So I'll go ahead and leave it there and talk to you tomorrow for 5 more minutes. Except, of course, tomorrow is Sunday, which means I'll be continuing my rewatch of The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Still pretty early on in this one, so if you wanted to jump in and watch that along with me, still pretty easy to do. We're only, I think, let's see, we're only 4 episodes into the rewatch so far. So, we'll leave it there, and I'll talk to you then for that, and talk, tomorrow for 5 more minutes. That's the whole thing, right? Sign off.